drafters. We're here approaching the end of spoiler season for Strixhaven, and I've been having to think about these mystical archive cards and how they're going to affect drafts, because it's something that we haven't really experienced before, and there's some absolute massive power being put into the set with these mystical archive cards. All of them are playable in draft, and there's going to be one per pack. There's some particular combos I kind of want to talk about that I've realised are around, so let's get into it. And before we really go too far into it, just a little reminder for people who might not know what they are. The mystical archive cards are one in every pack, and they are all playable in drafts and sealed. And it does give you the chance to get 2 rare or mythics in a pack, because a number of these will be rare or mythic. The way it works is there's uncommons, rares and mythics. The uncommons are cards that we already have in standard, whereas the rares and mythics are cards which don't exist in standard, and these don't go into standard. But there's some absolutely huge, powerful cards included in these, as well as some normal standard type cards. You've got your opts and things in there as well. And on the screens now is some just purely powerful cards. Cards which are really good. You've got your Lightning Bolt in there. You've got Approach to the Second Sun, Swords of Plowshares. Cards which just have an inherent good power level that you're going to want to play in any deck which you're going to have these colours in. And sometimes they're even very splashable as well. So these are really, really solid cards that you kind of want to play by themselves because they're really good. On the other side of the fence, or the other end of the spectrum, we have some cards which are generally seen to be really powerful cards in other formats. But really, the likes of Demonic Tutor won't do very much in draft. It'll still be played, it's still quite good, but it's nowhere near the broken power levels that we've seen elsewhere. And these are cards which you're probably going to pass, especially if you're on Arena. In paper, you might take them for value, because some of these are quite valuable, and they do have some really nice artwork. Not quite as nice as the Japanese ones, but there's some really cool artwork in these as well. So these are cards which are really cool to have included, really cool reprints, but not really intended for the draft format. I'm going to look at 3 cards now where I want to have a little bit more of a deep dive on how they're going to work. And this is because they're really powerful cards, but generally need to be used with other cards which have effect as well. First of all, potentially the most powerful card in the whole set is Channel. And this card allows you to create a lot of mana. You've got to pay some life to get it. It was one of the very early cards. It was in alpha, and it is one of the original really headline combo pieces for Channel Fireballs, which you'll have heard of through the Channel Fireball website. But Channel and Fireball working together, you can create a huge fireball really early in the game and potentially beat your opponent turn 2 or something like that in like quite normal circumstances if you've got the combo in hand. In Strixhaven, there's not really a lot of big things that are outside the mythic and rare slot, so I'm not sure how broken it's going to be. It's going to be powerful, that's definitely going to be the case, but we don't actually seem to have many big spells with colourless mana costs in there. You've got quite a lot of multicoloured costs in there, which will make it harder to really make the most out of Channel. And there's some really good stuff you can see on the screen now as well at Mythic, and one card at Rare here as well, which are going to be really good. You can potentially play them turn 2, turn 3 with Channel, but I don't think it's going to be anything which is going to be breaking the game in any major way. If you do get one of these double Mythic decks, then that's going to be really good. But I think it's really good. I think it's cool that it's included, and it's going to give her a chance to play with it, but there's nothing really that's going to be going totally out of its way on a regular occurrence that's going to be making you feel bad in draft. Although I know it's going to happen to me sometimes, and I'm going to get really salty about it when it does. Fingers crossed, I'm going to be the person who gets to play these sometimes. Another set of cards which is really seem to be really powerful, and they all work together in the same ways, are the Storm cards. And we've really got 3 cards here. Weather the Storm doesn't really come into it, but it is definitely a Storm card which has a lot of power, which is going to be included. But you've got Tendrils of Agony, Grape Shot, and Mind's Desire, which are all ridiculously powerful cards in the right format. It'll be interesting to see how they get abused. We do have Dark Ritual as another Mystic Archive card, which is really known for being used with Tendrils of Agony. But apart from that, there's not a huge amount of things which are going to make mana. You've got Grinning Ingus, which does have the potential to create a lot of mana. It's mana negative when you activate it, but you can return it to your hand and cast it, return it to your hand and cast it a number of times, which might work really well with Grape Shot, or potentially Tendrils, I suppose, as well. But don't really have any black-red decks going on. Grape Shot and Grinning Ingus are both red cards, so you can see them getting played together. We've also got Witherbloom Apprentice, and this could help Tendrils of Agony go off. It just means that you're going to get an extra drain every time you cast or copy the Tendrils of Agony. So if you're going to have a chance to maybe cast 2 instant sorceries with the Witherbloom Apprentice out, then you can cast Tendrils of Agony. You can get 3 copies of Tendrils of Agony, plus you're going to get more triggers off the Witherbloom Apprentice, and that can do quite a lot of damage. Liliana also works in a similar way, but Witherbloom Apprentice is a more common card, because again, you're going to be looking at having a mythic and a rare to really get that combo off, and even then it's not really broken. There's also a few ways to add a lot of mana. You can see here with this mana elf, which cares about you gaining life, and you know that again, the gain of life could work quite well with Tendrils. Heaven forbid you get 2 copies in hand, but there might be a way to return it from the graveyard to your hand. So you'll cast Tendrils of Agony, maybe get a couple of copies, gain some life, tap this, get some mana, and then be able to cast it again after getting it back from the graveyard. And there's a few ways to get instants and sorceries out from the graveyard. The last card that I really want to talk about, and this is what got me thinking about it straight away, is Ephemerate. And Ephemerate, single white, it lets you blink a creature, and a creature that you control specifically, so you can't get your opponent's tokens. And then it's got rebound, so at the beginning of your next upkeep, you get to cast it for free if you want to. You don't have to cast it, and that's quite good if you've only got a token left and you don't want to blink your own token. But there's a lot of things in the Quandrix College which I think will work really well with this. And yes, okay, Ephemerate's a white card, but there's a lot of really good ATB effects in Quandrix, especially the I can't remember the card, but it's a 3 mana card that when it enters a battlefield, it creates a fractal creature token, and you put counters on it equal to the number of fractals that you've got. And it's uncommon as well. So imagine you have a couple of these in your deck, turn 3 play 1, turn 4 play another one, cast Ephemerate in your opponent's turn, because Ephemerate is an instant. So the first one is going to make a 1/1 token, the next one's going to make a 2/2 token, you Ephemerate, it comes back, makes a 3/3 token, and then the start of your next turn you create a 4/4 token. And then that's going to do a lot of damage. You're going to have some really good power on the board, on top of just having these creatures. There's some other bits and pieces in Quandrix as well, which kind of have really good ATB triggers. And then we've also got PVDDR, his own card that he got for winning the World Championship. This is in white as well, and it will let you basically take the opponent's hand apart a little bit. And the interesting thing about this card is it's not one of the ones like you've had in the past where you'll play it and you can exile it until it leaves the battlefield. It is an effect which lasts until after the card leaves the battlefield. So it does allow them to cast it eventually, but there's a quite big tax on there of 2 mana. So you can play this, and then you can cast Ephemerate. You can basically take 3 cards out of the hand using this and Ephemerate. Ephemerate's also quite good for protecting it as well. It is just a 3/1 flyer, so it can die quite easily. The last card we've got on here is just a really solid card that allows us to tap down the opponent's creatures. So you can play this, tap one of their creatures down again in their end step. You can blink it. You can tap down another one of their creatures, and if you want to again, you can cast it again, tap down another one of their creatures. So they have loads of stuff tapped down, and I think this is going to be a potential little combo, although again, it's not in College's particular colours. One last card I think deserves a mention is Negate, and this is a Mystical Archive card that comes in the uncommon slot, but with all the instants and sorceries, these really powerful instants and sorceries knocking about, I think that Negate is going to be really important in the format, and it's a card that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. It's not big, it's not powerful, it's not splashy, but it is a solid card which I think is going to do more work than usual because of all of these really strong instant and sorcery spells. And with that, thank you everybody for watching. Obviously, I'd love you to do the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, ring that bell for the notifications, because I will be producing quite a few videos over the next few days and weeks. I'll be doing my usual guide to the instant speed tricks that you can play in Strixhaven, getting you ready for those first limited events, so you're that little bit ahead of the curve, talking about what you can expect your opponent to have. I'll also be hopefully taking part in the early access event if I get the invite from Wizards again, because that was really fun last time, and we did that on Twitch and got some good chats going and enjoyed those drafts quite a lot. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.